What's going on, PW? Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. Take a quick look. Okay, we're good. See what's going on in premium chat. Not much. What's going on, Berto? What's up, Izzy? What's going on, Randy? Echo? Seriously, Tom? You're joking me, right? Is everyone else hearing an echo? Is it only Tom hearing an echo? I just want to double check for you guys. You can hear the echo? Alright, let me double check here. Just fixing some settings. See? Apply. Alright, let's see if you guys are still hearing. Still hearing an echo? Testing, testing. It's really bad on smartphone. That's really interesting. Hello, hello, hello. Can you guys hear me? Testing, testing. Two toms. Much better now? Holy, I can hear him. Oh, look. Oh, I'm a dummy. I actually didn't even realize you guys couldn't hear me. And no one actually said anything. Izzy, you're supposed to be saying yes or no. Alright, well, I'm going to make it really brief so we can all go watch some football because I do see the conversation going on about football. And Tom is here. So let's wrap it up real quick. Hopefully, you guys actually held calls overnight. Tonight was pretty much the biggest gap up over the week. As you saw during the majority of the week, we had progressive gap ups every single night, followed by pretty much market hour declines. Echo again. Are you guys serious? One says sounds good, the other one says echo again, and then tech god. That's a lot of mixed reviews right there. No echo. Alright, so then I think it's just your devices pretty much. Nah, just go. Okay, no echo. Alright, so continuing again, like I said, we pretty much had gap ups every single night. We finally broke the downtrend for where bears pretty much are going to go hibernate for the most part. And so we're going to get a nice consolidation out of this spike that we had on the downtrend. We'll get a nice little retest of that downtrend tomorrow. And so tomorrow's going to be pretty much a consolidation, choppy type day. And pretty much I would suggest that you stay very patient tomorrow at open. Don't try to force a position right out of the gate because that's not going to end very well for you. We do have to consolidate all these large moves. The only move I probably think won't consolidate is Upstart because that thing is a monster. But other than that, a lot of takers do have to consolidate the moves that they made today. And so that's why I mentioned don't try to force the situation tomorrow. That's pretty much my biggest emphasis tonight is don't force it tomorrow. Just wait for the setup. I did chart a lot of different patterns, a lot of different takers that didn't really get a move today. And so I did post those on my Twitter. So if you guys can go check that out, I'll continue looking over tonight when I get some time tonight to see what other moves there are for tomorrow that haven't really made their move yet. As far as big cap tech stocks are concerned, I know that Netflix didn't get the move that we were expecting today, along with Facebook. So, and also Amazon to a certain degree, on a day like today, you expected Amazon to be over $60 in gains today. That wasn't the case. So that was a little bit of a lagger also. So Facebook, Netflix, and Amazon are the three that I think they were the laggers of the pack. Google pretty much led the entire move for techs because that made that $60 move over that ballpark there. All right. But again, pretty much S&P, we'll see the retest, we'll see the choppy movement going into tomorrow, and then we'll see a beautiful continuation going into earnings next week. And so when I say that pretty much bears are going to go hibernate, it looks like at this point in time that all the bad news, anything bad scenario is pretty much on the back burner right now. We got the debt ceiling already resolved for the moment in time. We already have pretty much the tapering that's already been resolved for this matter. So we know that pretty much the known factors are out there for tapering. And then also there was one other thing that I was going to mention. Pretty much spotlight on earnings. Oh, the 10-year bond yield. So that's hovering around 1.5. So that's also on the back burner as well. But spotlight on earnings, we're going to see a nice little, we're going to hold up for the most part in the overall markets. So after that retest, I do expect an uptrend. We'll get close enough to that 446, 447 mark, in which that will be the level in which our next consolidation level will be. All right. Moving on to Nasdaq. As you actually saw the past few days, I've been talking about a little bit of a bear flag here. We're actually right at the resistance of the bear flag that I had noted here. And so I do want to see this actually, considering it's going to get a nice little retest. What's more important about Nasdaq is that I want to see it actually break this downtrend that we have. And so if you see that gray line, that's the downtrend. This is what I actually need to see break over. And so once I do see this break over, I will see a little bit more of a comfort level on my end as far as, we're in the clear. The downtrend is completely broken at S&P and Nasdaq. But Nasdaq is still within this range of this bear flag, and so that's a little bit discomforting. So I do want to see us end up breaking this resistance here, and that'll give us the all clear going into next week. Of course, starting off with the monster is Upstart. We had that nice bull flag. Now, what I actually do see is a better defined resistance line. And as I did see today, a lot of flow. I saw a lot of 400 calls coming in. Excuse me. I saw 400 calls coming in, and I also saw 410 to 420 calls coming in as well. So that was actually something that actually caught my eye. And so I'll keep on watch tomorrow. I missed the entry today. I think Avery also missed his entry on Upstart as well. But we didn't want to chase it. That's not something that, there's certain situations where we chase, but this is not one. This is a monster. And when it moves in either direction, it's pretty much a very large move. So we didn't want to get caught in the pullback. But this was an excellent move. If you got in early, you pretty much rolled this all the way down to the end. But if you didn't get in early, as we caught it a little bit late after this candle, after that massive candle, we were kind of expecting a retest here, but that didn't end up happening. At least I was expecting the retest on the bull flag. I don't know what Avery's mindset was, but I didn't want to get in after I saw this first massive candle and the second one already popped. I was expecting that reversal to get a retest. That didn't happen, and that's therefore why I didn't force the situation at that point in time. So pretty much choose your battles, and that was the mindset, and I just let it be. But after seeing it rip up $34, of course you're like, damn, why didn't I enter? So there'll be other opportunities. Other ticker, like I mentioned, I was watching for weakness. This is one of the names that were showing weakness. So I'd still have Facebook on watch. 330 was my initial target. 335 is my second target for this one. We'll see if we get some kind of move out of this tomorrow, as the other names are going to be consolidating. Microsoft should get a nice little pullback. Google should get a nice little pullback tomorrow. So it could be possible that we see Facebook along with Netflix and Amazon get some kind of momentum going tomorrow before next week starts and earnings is on spotlight. But as we saw, we broke the downtrend of the descending channel. It's even possible that we get the retest. But then again, 330 is the initial target, 335 is my second target. All right. So I'll watch out for that one tomorrow. The other one that I'm watching is Netflix. And one thing that I do want to point out with Netflix, of course, I'm going to be watching for the breakout of this, what I would say is a bull flag formation here. We did, is that a double bottom? Looks like a double bottom actually. I didn't even check that. Let me see. Low is 622. 622. Yes, you could say that's a double bottom formation out of that bull flag. So important part is that we got the breakout out of that bull flag. And so I'll be watching for this one for an entry tomorrow. I'm actually hoping that if the markets do pull back tomorrow morning, it'll give me a better entry than today. And that's what I'll be looking for my entry tomorrow morning on this one. And I do want to actually hold it for a run up going into next week because they actually do have earnings next week. And the only bad part about earnings for Netflix is that it's been historically proven that Netflix actually tanks on every earnings. So I do not suggest holding calls on Netflix during earnings. That would not be wise. But it is what it is. I pretty much would just play the run up, even if you decide to pretty much sell the day, pretty much the market close before the earnings. That will be my suggestion right there for you. But again, that'll be my play tomorrow. I'll play the run up. I am also in Snap for their run up also. I didn't actually I knew when I was entering the position that they had earnings next week, but they also had a golden sweep that came out for next week as well. There was a 79 call on that one. I'll bring up the chart real quick so you actually see. And I did post this one on my Twitter as well. We have a little bit of a rising wedge action. The golden sweep that I saw was a 79 call going into next week for expiration. Now, it's left to be determined if they're going to hold through earnings or if they're going to sell before earnings. But they did buy the 79 call, so they're expecting pretty much one leg up. Is that going to be, that'll likely be right into resistance here on this rising wedge. So it is possible that we get the run up, we hit that resistance before earnings, and it'll be left to be seen if that golden sweep is going to be sold before or after that earnings. But I am holding that one. I do plan to hold it possibly even through the weekend, and I'll sell it early next week once we get a higher, nice little uptrend going, and I can sell that into profits. Okay. Another one that I'm watching is also Shop, and this chart does look a little bit confusing as you see the little pink lines, but notice the left shoulder. the head, the massive head that we have, and the right shoulder, in which that yellow line is the neckline. That's an inverted head and shoulders. And I actually drew the little pink lines, being that it's an expanding wedge, ascending wedge. And so I'm watching this broadening wedge. We'll see if it comes down to support tomorrow, in which that may be an opportunity to go long on shop, in, probably for next week. But that's what I'm actually looking at. As you see, it pretty much aligns with the resistance and the support here. So it is possible that we drop down to support if the market weakness does present itself tomorrow, and that'll be a buying opportunity for me. But that's pretty much what I want to highlight. This is going to be another hopefully dip buy to me tomorrow, and we'll see how that one plays out. But this was another one that was showing relative weakness to what we've seen. This can easily move $40 on a day like today, but that didn't happen today. I know that also this one, Zoom, was actually on our watch list, me and Avery, both of us. We expected a little bit of a better move out of Zoom. It didn't happen. We did end up breaking this. Oh, this is actually CRM. I apologize. CRM was actually one from the newsletter. So CRM actually has an ascending channel, and I'm actually watching this one right into the resistance of this ascending channel. And so I did see that it broke the recent high. And once it broke that recent high, that was a point of entry there. And so I'm watching this one right into the resistance. We'll hit the resistance right around 293. And that'll be a possible short at that scenario. I'll be looking at to see, deciding whether I want to short it or not. It depends on the overall market weakness. But it is likely that we end up gapping up to that 293. It is entirely possible. And then that'll present itself as a short for me, because we should actually get some kind of retracement off of this move down from 271 all the way up to 273 to 293. So I'll look at that one tomorrow. We'll assess it. We'll see if it gaps up tomorrow, and then I will address whether I want to short that one at resistance or not on this ascending channel. All right. Another mover was pretty much Nvidia. This was an all-day mover. We also had rapids that came out on Nvidia as well. That was just a beautiful move. As we saw, we got a nice little gap up. I actually had this resistance line drawn before today practically, and I was looking for it to break out of this level of 210.63, and we gapped right over it. And that was just a steady mover all day. And so if you got into that at any point in the day, you pretty much banked on this one. It had a beautiful move. We filled this little gap right here, completed that gap at 215.88. And so now we also do have another gap, and that's what I'm actually trying to present itself, is that gap that we have above. And so we'll enter that gap fill over 217.99. And if I'm not mistaken, it actually popped up about $1 and change after hours. So it looks like it did complete this gap after hours here. I'm not sure if it actually completed entirely, but it did enter the gap. And so that's what we'll be watching tomorrow. And that gap will end at 219.65. So I'll keep an eye on the second gap here. I mean, having to fill both of these gaps, and then you also have another larger gap at the top, which I'll highlight so you get an idea of how far that one up is. You have another gap all the way at the top here on Nvidia. And the call flow from yesterday to today has been insane on Nvidia. So you'll enter this gap fill above 221.49. So, I mean, Nvidia is going to continue to go up. I expect us to fill both gaps within time here. This first gap below will actually get filled likely tomorrow. It'll be possibly a morning gap up easily. We'll fill this gap, and then I would expect some kind of consolidation here before we fill the next gap higher into next week. So we'll see how that one plays out tomorrow. And now Zoom actually plays out. This is the one that me and Avery were watching. We were expecting a bigger move on this one. We had a nice little breakout on that falling wedge from yesterday, and the continuation just kind of really stalled out. So this was another lagger that we didn't get that continuation. We stalled out at 274. I actually did have a target of 272. So, but I wanted to see this get over this little hump right here and break out above this candle of 274.57, and that would have been a beautiful continuation. But we'll keep it on watch tomorrow. We'll see what it does. Zoom usually pops at the most pretty much weird times. When you least expect it, Zoom will pop. And I know actually Straight was in Zoom calls this morning as well, if I'm not mistaken. And he got a nice profit right out of this one. He got it right out of the gate. So we'll keep it on watch. We'll see what the continuation is. Another one that I'm watching is Moderna. This actually had news today. I did alert everyone on live today that Moderna was going to be hearing from the FDA regarding their vaccines. And so we'll continue to see if this actually gets a continuation. Me and Avery were actually talking on live. He thinks the move is actually practically done. It could see this 341 level and then reject and come right back down. But it's left to be seen. So I do want to see it break over this 341.19 level, and then that gap fill above is in sight, in which we'll enter that gap fill over 359. So a lot of work to be done on this one. That 341 mark is going to be very key on Moderna, but we'll see how it reacts to that level. If it rejects that 341, then that is possibly going to be a sell the news event from what we had from the FDA report, and then it'll come right back down. It's left to be seen, so we'll see how it reacts tomorrow, and we'll play that out as the market gives us. Another one that was actually, this was pretty much on my watch list to really be a short, potential short going into next week, because I do not expect this to get past this resistance level of 304 here. Right around that 304 range, I don't expect us to pass that. I know that my overall target was 305 level from Microsoft. It actually hit that initially, right here at 305.84. That was back in August. I don't expect to get over that high unless earnings really do push it and they impress that much. But I expect a rejection here at this resistance level, and then we fill this gap back down. So I'll keep it on watch to see how it reacts to the resistance level tomorrow. If we get gap ups tomorrow, I'll keep it on watch to see how it reacts to 304. And if we reject it, then that's another possible short with the weakness that we're expecting tomorrow. Okay. And then the last ticker that I actually had highlighted was PayPal. I did see that there was a lot of call activity on PayPal. As we saw, there was a big move on PayPal for that matter, a $10 move. Although Square, pretty much its sidekick here, didn't get that kind of move. Square was a little bit more weaker on that sense. But we want to see a continuation on PayPal, especially that this is going to be a potential run up also into earnings. They do have earnings next week. And what interests me here is this gap fill that we do have. So I'm going to watch for this gap fill over 271.44. This could be a nice little swing play here going into earnings. And so it's purely the run up as we pretty much see with along with Netflix and also with Snap. So those are the three run up plays that pretty much caught my attention here that I'll highlight tonight is Snap, PayPal, and also Netflix. All right. Other than that, that pretty much wraps up our session tonight, guys. We'll see what the market gives us. Again, I'm expecting chop. I'm expecting a consolidation type day. We do need to digest the move that we made. That was a huge gap up that we had, and so we'll see pretty much how low we end up going. Again, I do want to see the retest on the S&P here after that breakout. So 439, 440 is the level that I'm watching on that retest, and then we'll see pretty much where we go from there going into next week. All right. Other than that, that kind of wraps up the session tonight, guys. Real quick, I did see someone mention Roku. I'll just pull up a chart real quick. Just give you a quick. I know that Avery's actually been the one watching Roku, and so what I actually saw was that we rejected right against the gap fill. That's basically what happened. We ended up having a nice little breakout here of this descending triangle. That was a bullish descending triangle. We got the breakout, and we ended up rejecting right into the gap fill when we completed it. So we rejected right around 334.22 and we came back down. So I do want to see this hold a level of support. I would expect this to retest right around this level of 326. So about a $2 drop or so we should get. And then I expect further upside on Roku. So 326 around that ballpark number would be where I find support. And then I will play it back for the upside. But I do want to see it break the downtrend once we hit that 326. What kind of falling wedge action it gives us. And then we'll play that. We'll get an entry, a nice entry on that one tomorrow. All right. Other than that, again, yeah. I mean, Roku, I don't think the move is done at all here. I think my target was around 335 on Roku that I had. And so I'll watch it for continuation again. Falling wedge action is likely going to be happening here tomorrow. We'll get a little, probably about another $2-3 drop here. And then we'll play the breakout once it presents itself tomorrow. All right. Other than that, that wraps up the session, guys. Tonight, I'll see you guys on live tomorrow. And then, we'll see where we have what the market presents itself. All right. Other than that, go watch some football. I'll see you guys at 9:30 tomorrow.